Hi everyone, this is Elizabeth at craftsbyhappystamper.com. Today I'm going to show you a quick video on how to make this Minion card. It's just a simple punch out card, but it looks super cute and it always has a big impact on with the receiver. This card specifically was requested by a friend at work for her daughter who loves Minions, but who doesn't love Minions? So first I'm starting with the Circle Thinlit die from Stampin' Up, and I'm die cutting the Daffodil Delight with my Big Shot. You can see it just punches out here. The card fits in a traditional 4¼ by 5½ inch envelope. But in addition to the Daffodil Delight, I'm going to use the same Thinlit to cut out a 1-inch strip of black. And this is just so that I have the perfect curve on each side of the eye that holds the goggles on, right, for the Minion, since this is a one-eyed Minion. And you can just set those pieces to the side. That middle piece you'll just throw away, but the other two pieces you can set to the side while you're getting everything else done. So that's all the Big Shot work. You don't need anything else. So now there's two score lines, and I'm just folding it and using my bone folder to get a really good crease back and forth on it. So it's kind of like a Z fold, but you can see the eyes there, and you can pull it to open it, and the circle eye part will flip open. So first I'm starting with a 2 3/8 inch circle, scallop circle, and it's just a basic gray scallop, and then that will be the goggle part. And then I'm using the 2-inch circle to cut out a piece of Whisper White cardstock, and that's the white of the eye. And then I am using a 1-inch circle punch to cut out some early espresso, and a 3/4 inch circle punch to cut out a little piece of basic black for the eye, the pupil. And now I can just line it up and put it together. The measurements of the circles don't really matter. It's just sort of what ratio you decide you like best. So you could use a smaller white circle if you want for the pupil, as well as smaller for the eye as well. It's up to you what you want. So I'm just putting mine directly in the center, but you could have it looking to the left or to the right if you prefer. And that's it. The eye's done. Now we can put it in onto our Minion, who doesn't look quite like a Minion yet, but at least he has an eye. And he's that favorite banana color. So now you want to line up where you want to put the goggle straps. So on this example that I'm showing you, I actually think I ended up gluing it the wrong side down. And the only way you can tell is because there's a little bit of yellow that you could see on the side there. So it doesn't line up perfectly that way. But on the right side, I noticed that I messed it up, and I flipped it over to make sure it lined up perfectly before I glued it. But I don't think it's that obvious, so I just left it. I thought about ripping it up, but I think that just would have caused more issues than it did. So now I'm using a piece of Pacific Point cardstock, and I'm punching out 2 squares, and these are going to be the jeans. And I'm also going to use the word window punch and cut out 2 straps for the overalls jeans. But before I actually use these and put these on the card, I'm going to take so I almost forgot, I'm taking my 3/8 inch circle punch, and those are going to be the little buttons on the overalls. So I actually tried my 1/2 inch circle before I realized that was too big, and then I went back and punched out a couple of my 3/8 inch circles to be the buckles. And they fit perfectly on the edge of those word window punch pieces. So now I'm taking the Night of Navy ink pad and a sponge, and I'm just sponging the edges because the Pacific Point's just a little too bright for these Minions. You want it to look like they've actually worn the jeans, or that they are actually jeans, and this gives it more of a jean look. So I did it on all sides of all pieces of the Pacific Point, and I get ink all over my fingers, so from here on out in the video you'll see Night of Navy ink on my fingers, but luckily I don't think I got it on the actual card. And now I'm taking a 1/2 inch corner rounder and rounding the corners there to give the top of his head a bit of shape. And I'm putting away the Night of Navy so I don't get it on anything else. And I'm going to take another sponge and crushed curry ink and go around all the edges of the minion. This just gives him a little bit of depth, so he looks more like an actual character than just a flat sheet of paper. And you'll be amazed, these little added things like sponging the sides really get this card noticed by the recipient. They really think it's, extra special. So now I'm going to glue the jeans on, and half the jean will go on each side of the fold. So you just line it up exactly with the fold. And I like to use liquid glue for this because it gives you a little bit of time to wiggle it around if you don't line it up exactly correctly. But, it's a personal choice, whatever you prefer. And then I put the straps on, and you want the straps to hang off a little, that's fine. And you'll see in a little bit I'll just trim those off. But now that those are on, I'm going to put the little buttons on. And you could use a quick picks tool to pick those up a little easier than I did. If you don't have such chubby fingers like I do, then you probably don't have a problem with it. But I have chubby fingers. So to give this a little more detail, I'm going to take a Uniball white gel pen, and you can also get this from Stampin' Up, and draw just a little cross-stitch lines in on the jeans. I think it really adds quite a bit of detail to do these stitch lines, so I definitely think that you should take the opportunity to do it. And then I add a little sparkle to his pupil so that it looks like a real eye, which you could see there. And at this point, I realized that I needed to cut off the sides, obviously, but I also didn't realize that he needed a mouth. And I was like, oh no, he needs a mouth. So I went back to my 2-inch circle punch, and I cut out a piece of basic black cardstock, which I'm frantically searching for on the side of my desk right now. There we go. So I cut out a 2-inch circle, and then I used the same punch and fed it back in and just sort of offset the punch a little. So sometimes it's a little difficult to get the piece to move around enough inside there. And it's hard to see what you're actually punching because it's closed. So there you go. So there's his smile. And first I'm going to glue it just a little bit of edge on the left because I want the smile to be seen when it's closed. And then I'm going to trim right where it lines up at that fold and then glue the piece that flew off back down. So see, I'm just making sure I can line it up correctly, and then I'm going to glue that down on the other side of the fold so that when the card's closed you can still see his smile, because you want a happy minion for a birthday card. So we are almost done. The last thing that I do is I get my 2.5-inch circle punch, and I took my teeny tiny Wishes stamp set and grabbed the happy birthday sentiment from it. And I'm actually going to stamp the happy birthday sentiment in Night of Navy before I punch out my 2.5-inch circle. And that's because I have a really hard time for some reason eyeballing a straight sentiment on a circle product, like stamp it straight on anything circle. So it's easier for me to stamp it first and then use the punch to figure out what makes it a straight sentiment, and then I glue it on the other side of the card. Now the person at work that I made this card for actually thought it looks too cute to write on the card itself, so she sticky noted her sentiment to her daughter to the back of the card so that she didn't ruin the card, which I think is funny since she bought the card specifically for her daughter's Despicable Me themed party, and she was thrilled to have this card though. So that's it. It's pretty simple punch art card, and it will give you lots and lots to talk about. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet to my channel, please do so. You can find details for this and all the supplies that I used for this card at my blog, which is linked in the description of this post. Thanks!